welcome to a challenge video. Normally, I wouldn't open up a challenge video after showering and getting in my pajamas, but I was supposed to film this intro yesterday and I didn't get around to it, so we gotta do it today. So, I have some holiday reading that I want to do. It's December 12th right now. We have 2 weeks until Christmas, and I had a small stack of library books that I wanted to read that are all either holiday or winter themed. And the idea for this challenge came about because I had a book, Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, out from the library, and it needed to go back today. So you'll notice that I don't have it physically, but let me tell you about it because I did start this challenge earlier in the day. So my idea for this challenge was to do a 7 books in 7 days challenge with a holiday twist. So here are the 6 books I have, and Love Light Farms was the 7th book. Now, I started Love Light Farms a couple days ago, and I was really excited for that one. That was top of my list of one of the ones I wanted to read, and I ended up DNFing it after about 100 pages getting into it. So I decided to DNF it this morning and took it to the library, but the challenge is still going because I did the reading today. So we're still going. We just have one man down, so to speak. So Love Light Farms is about a woman named Estelle and her best friend Luca. Estelle owns a Christmas tree farm that is failing. They're not making enough money to stay open, and they're kind of hoping for a last-ditch effort to keep the farm open, and so they entered a social media contest where a very popular influencer would come advertise their business, and in her application she had said, I run this farm with my boyfriend. Well, Estelle has been single for a very long time and does not have a boyfriend, so she needs someone to fake date her. And she ends up asking her best friend Luca, who she actually has a really big crush on. This book was not bad. There were some issues that I had with the writing. I think this needed a stronger editing eye on it because I found quite a few faults with the prose where it was actually hard to make out what a sentence was saying. I don't remember any specifics, but there would be times where I'd have to reread a sentence 3 times and then go, oh, that was Luca talking to her as if he was saying something in her voice. If that makes sense. He'd be like, oh, I'm Estelle, and something like that. And I would be like, oh, I couldn't figure out that that's what he was doing, is talking as if he was her. And then there was one time where he said a sentence that had one swear word in it, and then his mom was it said his mom was shocked at his string of expletives. And I'm like, he said one swear word. That's not a string of expletives. That's one swear word. Little things like that I think just a stronger editing comb over would have cleaned it up a bit. But that wasn't what bothered me. What bothered me was that B.K. Borison made it very obvious early on that Luca has feelings for Estelle and Estelle has feelings for Luca. We know that she does because we're seeing everything from her point of view, but the author kept dropping in these hints, even though we're in Estelle's point of view, these very obvious hints where it's Luca's eyes lingered on my lips for a really long time, and it's okay, why does she not understand that he likes her? Why is she so oblivious? But it's so obvious to us that he likes her. And so it was just frustrating because I'm okay, I know what's gonna happen. I know what the feelings are here. So just figure it out because it's so obvious. I don't know. It was just one of those things. And I know it can be different with best friends who are guys who you might be interested in and you would never think they would think about you that way. But I don't know. It just, the way the author was writing it, they were writing it in such an obvious way that it was Estelle seems kind of stupid not to get it. And then because early on I know they both like each other and they're doing the fake dating thing, and there's so much focus on like the physical intimacy, I didn't feel like there was much room for emotional intimacy growth in a weird way, because they were such solid friends and we're just like jumping into this like super long relationship that they had where they're best friends, they're comfortable and familiar with each other. So now it's just like, let's just ramp up the sexual tension and ramp up the physicality of their relationship. And it's just weird because it's like they're both enjoying it because they both like each other, but they're not talking about the fact that they like each other. So it feels so empty and weird, like that they're faking not liking each other in this fake relationship. I don't know if like maybe fake dating isn't for me. I much prefer like a marriage of convenience where it's people like being like, well, we'll just have like a romanceless marriage and then they like slowly fall in love over time. I prefer that, I think, rather than like the fake dating, because there wasn't a lot of emotional growth. They were just doing the same things that they always had done as best friends. And it was just like, ooh, now he's touching my leg. Ooh, I wish his, thumb would caress my neck even more. And it's just like, I don't know, it felt boring to me. Like, the physical side of the relationship is always my least favorite in romances. Like, I want that emotional side of things, and this one felt like it was only physical because the emotions, they already liked each other. Like, no one was really changing all that much. So I read 100 pages, decided to DNF it, sent it back to the library, and then I moved on to my next pick, which is due back at the library in a week, and someone has requested it, so I have to take it back next week, and that's The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ali Carter. I am 50 pages into this. I started it today. I'm loving this. I was not sure, like, I know Ali Carter wrote a lot of YA that I never read, and I don't know, there is a stigma about people that write YA, and it's like, can they even write an adult book? And I know, like, that's not something I should be thinking about, but in the back of my mind, I'm always like, well, it's going to be like an immature story. And, like, maybe it will be, but so far it's really good. So this is about two writers, Maggie and Ethan? I think that's his name. And they are invited to a famous author's house over the holidays. I think there's going to be a murder, and there's definitely a romance element. It's a little bit enemies to lovers because they have like kind of a fractious relationship. I think he likes her, but she kind of has a bad vibe about him and doesn't like him very much, and they're getting swept away. They're invited to her favorite author, like a famous mystery author, has invited them to her estate in England, and something's gonna happen, some kind of crime. And I'm just really enjoying this. Like, I flew through the first 50 pages and I just wanted to keep reading. Like, if I could have just sat and read the whole thing, I felt like I would have. It reads so easily. Like, the writing is so fun. It's kind of humorous. It's the characters are done really well. I feel like I get like a good feel for them, and like the dialogue is good, and so it's just, I'm really vibing with it. And like, I was reading it and I was like, I feel like this could be a 5 stars. I'm so intrigued by this like mystery author and why she's invited people for Christmas and what the crime is gonna be. Like, I'm very excited about this one, and I hope it keeps being as good as it is. And then let me tell you about the 5 other books that I want to read this week. So I'm going to tell you about the romances, and then I'll tell you about like the spookier reads. So I have Christmas Eve Love Story. You've probably seen this on Instagram with like the wrapped up pages. This is supposed to be like, you could read it as if it's an advent calendar and just read like a chapter a day until Christmas. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read it all in, however long it takes me. I don't know much about the love story other than I think it's like repeating the same day over and over again, Christmas Eve or something. And I don't know, I've just been seeing it everywhere. I thought I'd give it a try, and we'll see if I like it. I'm very picky when it comes to romance. And then another one is The Holiday Swap, which is, I think, about two sisters like swapping lives for Christmas. Yes, twins. They swap lives. There's a baking show, a family bakery, two guys, and twins getting mixed up and switching identities to help with something. It sounds cute, and I'm excited to read it. It sounds like it could be fun. And then some more mystery ones. We have The Christmas Appeal. I've read The Appeal, and then The Mysterious Society of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett, and this is The Christmas Appeal. And Janice Hallett writes these books that are like found footage, but like emails and documents and things like that, text messages, and that's what the story is about. So this is about a play with a dead Santa. Everyone's a suspect, and it's about who did it. And it's like 200 pages in this small book, so that would be a really fast read, and I usually enjoy them quite a bit. Another fast read would be The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. I believe this is a Christmas Eve ghost story. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I know it's a ghost story. And I think it's set in wintertime on Christmas Eve. Maybe I have that wrong. But this is just one on my list of like female written horror books that I've wanted to read for a really long time. And then the final one is a new recommendation that I found on a channel called Sinead, I think is her name. I can't remember her channel name, so I'll try to put it here so you can do it. But she did like some wintry recommendations, and she recommended My Darling Girl by Jennifer McMahon. This has a very fun, snowy cover, and it's about like a woman returning home for the holidays with her mother's illness. She's been diagnosed with cancer, and she's returning to her childhood home to care for her mother, and it's not a place of happy memories for her, and things are going to get crazy and horror-y. With The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year and these 5, let's see if I can read all of these books in 7 days. Hello, I'm here to give you an update on how my 7 books in 7 days is going. I'm a little bit behind, but I think we're going to start making some ground. So I have finished The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ally Carter. I was supposed to finish this on Saturday, but Saturday was really busy. We went mushroom foraging and we had D&D that day, so it was like a non-stop day of stuff. I will say my husband gave me an early Christmas present, and for the first time in 28 years, I was able to read in a car without throwing up. So he bought me these glasses, and I'll show you a picture of them. They're pink and they're cute, and they have like liquid in these little tubes around the edges of them and on the sides of your eye, and it basically creates a stable horizon around your eyes so you don't get car sick. And I read this book in the car. I haven't been able to read more than like 2 minutes at a time without getting super, super nauseous in years. I used to read so much in the car that I would throw up until my parents were like, Cheyenne, stop trying to read in the car. And then they bought me like books on CD I could listen to. So that was really fun. I finished this yesterday though, on Sunday. Sika has to aggressively sniff me because I got back from work and was holding a baby, and so she finds all the baby smells very interesting. So I finished this yesterday. I had a good time with this. I gave it 4 stars. I will say it's very melodramatic. There are so many things in this book that I was rolling my eyes at, but at the same time, I still had a good time with it. So I think I gave you like a basic summary of what this was about, but basically these two writers are brought to a mansion, something happens, and they're left to solve kind of a crime. As they're solving a crime, a romance starts to blossom, and it all goes on from there. I thought the writing in this book was good. The pacing kept it moving pretty well. There were a few flashbacks to like the backgrounds of our main characters that I thought were really unnecessary. We didn't need to know as much as the author gave us, but at 290 pages, this book read really quickly. There were very short chapters, and so it just kind of flew by. Now, the main character was this, I can't tell you his background, but he's a very like macho guy, and as he gains feelings for our main female character, there was a lot of like solving things in his mind by being like, I'm gonna kill someone for hurting her. I'm gonna kill someone. Someone's gonna get hurt. There was like a lot of that, which is just so toxic masculinity, and it really bothers me when that's just like all that our main male character does. Like, I get feelings of concern when someone's hurt, but it was like he was always resorting to like violence in his mind of like, I'm gonna hurt someone back, I'm gonna kill someone. And it's just like, I don't know if we need that, you know. It was just so excessive. The romance had this weird pacing to it. So the characters were starting to have feelings for each other, but they were having those feelings like privately in their own points of view. They weren't sharing that. But then the male character, he kept calling her like sweetheart out of the blue. He kept calling her sweetheart. Oh, thanks, sweetheart. You've got it, sweetheart. I've got you, sweetheart. And I was like, they haven't even told each other that they like each other. Why is he constantly like calling her sweetheart? And there was like tons of like pet names. And like my husband and I don't really call each other pet names. So I always find it kind of awkward when people like use them almost solely. So this is really cheesy and melodramatic, but I had a good time with it. Like, I'm not going to say I wasn't flying through the book. So I enjoyed it. I thought the mystery was fun. And overall, I thought it was a fun holiday read. So the next book I picked up was Christmas Eve Love Story. I picked this up Sunday night, read like 16 pages, and continued on it this morning, Monday morning. This is the book I was supposed to finish Sunday, but obviously I had started it Sunday night and was nowhere near finishing it because it was 400 pages. So I continued this morning. I got to page 96 and I decided to put it down. I was jiving with it okay, but then I was reading some reviews and it had a very, very low rating. Like, a lot of people gave it 2 to 3.5 star ratings on Storygraph. And a lot of people had the same complaints, that the writing was just okay and that it was very repetitive. And so this is a time loop story where a woman keeps having to live Christmas Eve over and over again. I only got to the 3rd time of her reliving it, and I could already tell that there was way too much detail happening in the 2nd day to where I was like, oh, I'm going to get really bored of this really quickly because you're describing too much of what we already know and just changing it a little bit. And I didn't really care for the romance. It was kind of insta-love, you know, where they just kind of like each other at the same time. They're both attracted to each other and want to date each other. The main character had a really frustrating inner monologue of like, no one would ever love me. I'm not that cute. I'm not that fashionable. No one's ever gonna love me. And just really like down on herself. And that was like really hard to read from. And I get that some people do think that way and maybe they would like connect with that and want to see like growth from this main character, but I just found it kind of frustrating to have this really hot guy clearly giving off signs that he's into you, and she's just like, no one will ever love me, and it's just, I don't know, it was just kind of frustrating. So I decided to put this one down, which is fine. I gave it a try, and I picked up the Christmas Appeal. So I started this one at work, and I got about 42 pages in. This is by Janice Hallett. This is a Christmas, I think, murder mystery. Yeah, one Christmas play, one dead Santa, everyone's a suspect. And this is following her book, The Appeal, which was her debut novel, which is kind of a found footage type book where you're reading like text messages and emails from people, and it's in this group that puts on like local community theater. They're called the Fairway Players, and this one is going to have like a completely new mystery. It's following after The Appeal, so I would definitely say read The Appeal first. This one doesn't really stand on its own. It might even spoil what happens in The Appeal, so definitely don't read this one before you've read The Appeal. But this one's gonna go quickly. It reads so quick. I enjoy Janice Hallett's way of creating these silly, over-the-top, but all too realistic people. Like people who are like texting one person, oh, this set looks so good, and then texting this other person like, oh, this set looks really bad. She did a horrible job putting it together, like backstabbing someone via text and stuff, and people being passive aggressive over emails and things like that. So I think this is going to be a really good time. I'm definitely not going to finish it tonight because my sister's coming over tonight. We haven't seen each other because she's been traveling for a couple weeks. So we're going to be hanging out tonight. And so I might get like an hour and a half of reading or something like that. But then I'll be hanging out with her. Probably won't get any more reading done until tomorrow. But this will get me like closer. Like I might get halfway and then I'll only be like a half behind because this is the book I'm supposed to finish today. And it's a short one. So if I could get to like the halfway point, then I would have like 100 pages left to read tomorrow and then starting a new book. And I have the 2 mystery / horror, My Darling Girl and The Woman in Black, and then the other romance, The Holiday Swap. So what I'm thinking I might do is after this one, try The Holiday Swap. If I like it, I'll read the romance and then I'll go back to like murder mystery horror with My Darling Girl. And I just got The Woman in Black on ebook, and it's the only ebook or audiobook that was available in time for me to get. So I might start that tonight when I'm in bed. Just start The Woman in Black on ebook to kind of have that to read while I'm going to sleep at night. So I might do that and then finish up this tomorrow and then try My Darling Girl or The Holiday Swap. I don't know which one I'll do. But so far, like, we're not doing too bad. I knew some books were going to be DNFs, so I am being very, like, liberal with my DNFs. If I don't like it, I'm putting it down. Like, I only want to read these if they're giving fun, holiday, good vibes. I'm not pushing through anything I don't like. So far, so good. Okay, good progress has been made. I finished this today with time to spare. I'm planning on giving this a 3.5. I thought it was very funny, very charming, very easy to read, like all the Janice Halletts that I've read before. However, it was only a 3.5 because I thought this, like, definitely edged over into the point of being, like, absurd, where I'm like, this doesn't make sense. What's happening here? I thought the mystery was a little bit obvious at times, like what actually happened. And then when some crazy things were happening during the play that the characters are putting on, I just kind of couldn't believe it was happening the way it was. It was a little ridiculous, especially for being like such a short book. I'm like, there's a lot of ridiculous things happening, and I kind of know that that's the idea, but I just don't know that it was that enjoyable to read about. So a 3.5, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I will continue reading more books by Janice Hallett. She is going to be writing a full-length novel in this series, like following on like 3 years later after this book, I think. So I'll read it. I definitely like enjoy being in this group of people who are messy and awkward and jealous, and all sorts of like weird drama happens around them basically. So I will continue reading them. I just didn't think this was like top form for Janice Hallett. And then I've started The Holiday Swap. This was the other book that I read, and I made it, don't mind the 2 bookmarks. I needed a place to put the other bookmark. I made it 106 pages into this book. It's a pretty fast read. I will say that like I was finding myself being a little fatigued with reading quickly, so I was reading it kind of slower than I thought I would. But this is going to be like an easy rom-com, and if I get tired of reading this one, I'll slot in one of the other 2 mysteries just to kind of take up time. This one isn't that long though. It's like 330 pages, so I'm like a third of the way through. But this is following 2 sisters. One sister, Charlie, is on a cooking show, and there's an accident that happens at work. She gets a concussion. She loses her sense of taste and smell, so she can no longer do her job on the cooking show because she can't taste or smell anything. So she decides to trade places with her twin sister, Cass, who is running the family bakery while the parents are out on a well-deserved vacation. They're twins, so they can switch places. And it's just about them having to jump into each other's lives. One lives in LA, one lives in a small town somewhere else. I forget where it actually is set. I think it's like a fake place, but somewhere in like the mountains is where the little bakery is. And it's about them finding love in the opposite place where they're pretending to be their sister. And so, you know, chaos is going to ensue as they pretend to be one another. And I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's kind of long-winded. Like I kind of want more action to be taking place, and I'm not sure why it feels a little slow, but it does feel a little slow. But it's enjoyable. I'm not finding a lot of things like super wrong with it. I'm just not like obsessed with it, if that makes sense. So I, in theory, need to finish this today. That's not going to happen. I have like an hour until I'm going to be playing some games until bedtime. So I might get halfway if I'm lucky, which means I will be behind going into tomorrow. So I'll see what I can do to kind of catch up if I can tomorrow. And then I'm working again on Thursday, which will be the last day. Yeah, because I'm supposed to finish this today, finish the next book tomorrow, and then finish a book on Thursday. I don't know how likely it's going to happen, but I'm just going to keep pushing as far as we can and try to read as much as I can. So, well, wish me luck. Okay, it's time for a final update to say that I failed, but it's okay. We're at Thursday. It's about 4 o'clock, and I need to edit this video to go up tomorrow. So we need to call the vlog here. I will say that I completed one more book. I completed The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I probably shouldn't have pushed through. I said at the beginning of the video that I wasn't going to push through any books, and then I kind of pushed through this one. But I skimmed the last like 60 pages, and it was fine. I think like the biggest thing is that just I found it kind of boring. Like once we got to the swap, I didn't feel like things were that interesting overall. So I kind of pushed through. It was cute in some places, but there was too much miscommunication where it's like the twins were falling in love with these guys and they kept saying like, I can't tell them who I am, but I feel bad that I'm lying about it. And I'm like, Why can't you tell them? Neither one of, like, there's no reason they can't tell the guys that they've swapped places. There would be no harm, no foul. It's not like the guys were involved with the bakery. Like, it doesn't matter who's running the bakery if it's Charlie or Cass. Maybe it matters who's on the baking show, but the love interest was not from the baking show, so it wouldn't have mattered. And so they just spent the whole time lying to the guys they liked and being like, oh, I wish I didn't have to lie. And it was like, well, you don't. You could just tell them and it would be fine. So, I don't know. I thought that was dumb, if I'm being honest. The romances were fine, and I think I probably most liked the, like, personal growth, but I thought it was kind of, pun intended, half-baked in both the girls' like inner growth. I thought wasn't focused on well enough just because there was so much other non-important stuff going on. So it gets 2 stars from me. Kind of think I probably should have DNF'd it, but it's fine. And then that took me most of my time at work today, and so I got 10 pages into this and basically just have a taste of the writing style. Basically no plot happened except for this does take place on Christmas Eve, so I was not wrong about that. I think there's going to be a ghost. So I'm excited to continue this. It's only 150 pages, so I, should finish this in a couple days. And if you're really interested to know my thoughts on it, maybe I'll add it into another vlog, though I have other vlogs that I need to film, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then I did not start My Darling Girl, but this one, I don't know. I feel like I could read this one, like, in between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know. It's going to be, like, spooky, so it's not going to be, like, all the fun Christmassy vibes, like a holiday romance, so I don't feel like I need to read it at Christmas. So these two I didn't get to, but overall, like, 2 DNFs with this one and Love Light Farms. You can tell that the holiday romances definitely I'm much pickier with because I read this one and I didn't like it, and maybe I should have just DNF'd all of them. I don't know. This romantic suspense mystery was fun, and then this was a good time, a little comedy mystery. So, good variety. I'm glad I got to a handful of Christmas things at Christmas time rather than just always saving them from year to year. It was nice to sit down and read them. I'm planning to continue on with this one, save this one for later, and then start jumping into vlogs for January because the last couple weeks of December are going to be all my end of the year things. We have next week. There's going to be a 3-part goals series, so that will be very fun. I'm going to be announcing a TBR game next week, and then I'll have like either beginning of January, end of December, you'll see like my top 10, wrapping up my goals for 2025, and then we'll be in a new year, 2026. Here we come. I'm getting very excited to kind of wrap up a year and open up a new one. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.